Welcome to What If Sleep Storian, where the boundaries between worlds dissolve and beloved characters step beyond the pages of their original tales. Here, in the hushed hours between day and night, a castaway might wander paths lit by spectral light, guided by whispers of the past, where the impossible becomes beautifully inevitable. Each story begins with a simple question, what if, and unfolds into a gentle tapestry of intrigue, wonder, and dreams. Tonight, we begin with something a little haunting. A tale woven from the salt and sand of a deserted isle, where the palms sway with secrets and the waves hum a lullaby of forgotten souls. If these stories bring you comfort or spark your imagination, I'd be grateful if you'd like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. Let me know where in the world you're listening from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. So dim the lights, find your most comfortable position, and let these whispered narratives carry you softly towards sleep. Picture an island, adrift in the Caribbean's endless embrace, where the year is 1720 and the sun spills molten gold across a sea that knows no bounds. The air is thick with the scent of salt, damp earth, and the faint sweetness of guava, bruised and fallen from wild trees. The trade winds carry the sharp cries of gulls, fleeting as a half-remembered dream, while the waves lap at the shore, their rhythm a heartbeat that never falters. The sand beneath your feet is warm, coarse, shifting with each step, and the jungle hums with the chatter of unseen creatures, parrots, monkeys, the rustle of something small darting through the undergrowth. Can you taste the tang of salt on your lips carried by the breeze? Can you feel the sun's weight, softened only by the dappled shade of towering palms? This is no paradise of painted tales, where turquoise waters promise endless ease. This is a place of survival, where the sun blisters the skin, and the nights bring a chill that seeps into the bones. The island is a paradox, beautiful, yet merciless. The air holds the promise of coconut and wild mint, but also the sourness of decay, where fallen leaves rot in the damp undergrowth and fish, left too long on the shore, turn rank. The sounds are alive, fronds whispering in the wind, the snap of a twig underfoot, the distant growl of a storm brewing far out at sea. Yet beneath it all lies a silence, vast and heavy, as if the island itself holds its breath, guarding secrets older than the men who dare its shores. Here lives Robinson Crusoe, a man carved by solitude, his hands calloused from years of wrestling the island into submission. His beard is tangled, streaked with salt and sun, and his eyes carry the weight of 1,000 unwritten days. He moves with purpose, his steps deliberate across the uneven ground, his musket slung across his back, a hat woven from palm fronds shielding him from the relentless sun. His clothes, once fine, are now a patchwork of survival. Linen torn and mended, faded by salt and time. He has built a life here, a fragile empire of salvaged wood and stubborn hope, but the island is no tame thing. It demands constant vigilance, against storms that tear through with primal fury, against hunger that gnaws at the soul, against the ghosts that linger in the corners of his mind. Crusoe's days are a rhythm of labour. He checks traps for small game, lizards, birds, the occasional wild goat. He tends sparse crops, coaxing maize and yams from sandy soil that fights his every effort. He mends the walls of his shelter, a sturdy frame of driftwood and palm against rains that come sudden and fierce, turning the earth to mud. His hands know the weight of the axe, the pull of the fishing net, the burn of rope against his palms. The island has shaped him, hardened him, but it has not broken him. Sometimes he speaks to himself, his voice rough from disuse, recounting memories of England, cobblestone streets, the smell of fresh-baked bread, the clamour of a tavern. The palms listen, their fronds swaying as if in response, but they offer no answers. Tonight, as the sun dips low, painting the sky in hues of amber and violet, Crusoe walks the familiar path along the shore. The sand crunches beneath his boots, still warm from the day's heat, and the air is thick with the scent of seaweed and the faint musk of damp earth. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering secrets he has yet to decipher. He pauses, his gaze drawn to the horizon, where the sea meets the sky in a seamless blur. Can you imagine standing there, the vastness stretching before you, the weight of solitude pressing against your chest? What would you do in a world so wide, yet so empty? The air feels heavier tonight, charged with a stillness that prickles the skin. The waves, usually a steady hymn, seem to hesitate, their cadence broken by an unseen force. Crusoe turns toward the jungle, where the shadows deepen beneath the palms, and there, among the trees, a flicker of movement catches his eye. Not a bird, not a beast, but something else. A shape that shimmers, as if woven from the heat itself. His breath catches, and for a moment he is no longer the master of this island, but a man small and mortal standing before something ancient. He steps closer, his heart quickening, though he tells himself it is nothing. The island plays tricks, he knows this. The sun can bend the air, make the mind see what isn't there. But this is no mirage. The figure stands tall, draped in tattered cloth, its edges frayed as if worn by centuries of wind and salt. Its face is obscured, half hidden by shadow, but its eyes, oh, its eyes burn with a light that is not of this world. Crusoe's hand tightens on the knife at his belt, a small comfort against the unknown. "Who are you?" he calls, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. The figure does not answer, but it raises a hand, pointing toward the heart of the island, where the jungle grows thick and the light barely reaches. The gesture is not threatening, but imploring, as if urging him to follow. Crusoe hesitates. He is no stranger to fear. He has faced storms that tore his shelter apart, hunger that gnawed at his soul. But this is different. This is a fear that whispers of things beyond the mortal coil, of stories left untold. The figure turns, gliding toward the jungle, and Crusoe follows, drawn by a curiosity he cannot name. The path is narrow, overgrown with vines that sang at his boots, and the air grows cooler, damp with the breath of the earth. The scent of moss and rotting wood fills his lungs, and the distant cry of a parrot echoes through the canopy. The jungle seems to shift as he moves, the trees leaning closer, their branches forming a tunnel of green and shadow. The sounds of the island fade, replaced by a low hum, like the drone of a distant chant. Can you feel the weight of the unknown pressing against you, the way the air grows thick with possibility? They reach a clearing, where the palms part to reveal a circle of stones, half buried in the earth. They are ancient, their surfaces etched with markings Crusoe cannot read, spirals and lines that seem to pulse with a faint otherworldly light. The figure stops, its head bowed, and Crusoe feels a pang of recognition, though he cannot place it. The air here is heavy with the scent of salt and something sharper, like burnt metal. The ground beneath his feet is soft, almost alive, and the silence is so complete it feels like a presence. The figure speaks at last, its voice a whisper that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. "The treasure binds me," it says, and Crusoe's blood runs cold. He has heard tales of cursed gold, of sailors doomed to wander for their greed, but he has never believed them. Yet here, in this clearing, with the palms swaying and the stars beginning to pierce the sky, he feels the truth of it. The figure raises its head, and for a moment its face is clear. A sailor, weathered and worn, with eyes that hold centuries of sorrow. "I am bound to this place," the phantom says, "by gold taken in blood. Find it, cast it back to the sea, and set me free." Crusoe's mind races. He is no stranger to toil, but this is no simple task. The island is vast, its secrets buried deep. Yet something in the phantom's voice stirs him, a plea that resonates with his own longing for freedom, for a life beyond these shores. He nods, a silent promise, and the figure fades, leaving only the rustle of palms and the distant crash of waves. The clearing feels emptier now, but the weight of the task lingers, heavy as the humid air. He stands there, the stones glowing faintly under the starlight, and thinks of his lost companion, William, the friend who shared his early days on this island. William's laugh could cut through the darkest storm. His stories of the sea are comfort in the long nights. He was lost to fever, his body claimed by the merciless sea. But Crusoe feels him still, a presence in the rustle of the leaves, the whisper of the wind. Perhaps it is William's spirit that guides him now, urging him to unravel the island's mysteries. What would you do, faced with such a task? Would you search for answers, or let the shadows keep their secrets? Crusoe returns to his shelter as the night deepens, the air cool and fragrant with night-blooming flowers. He lights a small fire, its crackle a comfort against the vastness of the dark, and sits with his thoughts. The island is no longer just a place of survival. It is a puzzle, a story waiting to be told. He thinks of the markings on the stones, the phantom's words, and the treasure that binds a soul to this place. The fire casts shadows on the walls of his shelter, dancing like the ghosts he cannot name. Can you hear the crackle of the flames, the distant song of the waves? Can you feel the weight of a mystery heavy as the night? He sleeps fitfully, his dreams filled with visions of William, smiling sunlit, logically pointing toward the jungle. In one dream, William stands in the clearing, the stones glowing behind him, and speaks in a voice soft as the breeze. "Follow the signs," he says, and Crusoe wakes with a start, the words lingering like the scent of rain. The dawn is breaking, soft and slow, the sky streaked with pink and gold. He gathers his tools, spade, rope, knife, and sets out, the island waking around him. The birds are quieter today, their songs muted, as if the island senses the gravity of his task. He returns to the clearing, the stones gleaming in the early light, their markings sharper now, as if the island has chosen to reveal a piece of its truth. Crusoe kneels, tracing the etchings with his fingers, feeling the grooves worn smooth by time. They form a map, though not one of the roads or rivers, but of something older. Spirals that twist like the currents of the sea, lines that point toward the western shore, where the cliffs rise sharp and the waves crash with unrelenting force. He knows that place, the cove where the rocks are jagged and the currents deadly. He's avoided it, its dangers too great, but now it calls to him, a siren's song woven into the wind. The jungle is dense, its paths narrow and overgrown. Vines snag at his legs, their thorns biting through his trousers, and the air grows thick with the scent of damp leaves and hidden streams. The sounds surround him, the chatter of monkeys high in the canopy, the rustle of unseen creatures, the distant roar of the sea. His boots sink into the soft earth, and sweat beads on his brow, the salt stinging his eyes. Yet he presses on, driven by the phantom's plea and the faint, persistent memory of William's voice, laughing in the distance, urging him forward. The palms lean closer, their fronds whispering, and he wonders if they speak of the treasure of the sailor bound to this place. The journey is slow, the jungle unforgiving, but Crusoe is no stranger to hardship. He moves with the steady rhythm of a man who has learned to endure, his hands steady, his heart resolute. The air is heavy with the scent of moss and the faint sweetness of overripe fruit, and the island feels alive, its pulse thrumming beneath his feet. Can you smell the jungle's breath, thick and green? Can you hear its heartbeat, the way it hums beneath the surface? The path twists deeper, the light dimming as the canopy thickens, and Crusoe feels the weight of the unknown, a companion as real as the knife at his belt. The jungle's embrace tightens as Crusoe presses forward, the path narrowing until it is little more than a suggestion, a faint parting of vines and ferns beneath the towering palms. The air is dense, heavy with the scent of wet earth and the sharp tang of sap, where a branch, freshly broken, bleeds its life into the undergrowth. The sounds of the island are a chorus now, monkeys chattering in the canopy, the rustle of leaves stirred by unseen creatures, the distant, relentless roar of the sea calling him westward. His boots sink into the soft earth, each step a labour, the mud clinging to his soles as if the island itself seeks to hold him back. Sweat beads on his brow, the salt stinging his eyes, but he moves with purpose, driven by the phantom's plea and the echo of William's laughter, faint but persistent, like a melody half-remembered. The palms lean closer, their fronds brushing his shoulders, whispering secrets in a language he cannot yet decipher. The light dims, filtered through the thick canopy, casting dappled shadows that dance across his path. The air tastes of moss and salt, a reminder of the sea that surrounds this untamed world. Can you feel the jungle's breath, warm and heavy, wrapping around you like a cloak? Can you hear the island's pulse, thrumming beneath the earth, urging you deeper into its heart? Crusoe's hand rests on the knife at his belt, its weight a small comfort against the vastness of the unknown. He is no stranger to the island's tricks, the way the heat bends the air, the way solitude shapes shadows into spectres. But this journey feels different, as if the land itself watches, waiting. He thinks of the clearing, of the stones etched with spirals and lines, their glow lingering in his mind like the after-image of a flame. The phantom's words, gold taken in blood, echo, heavy as the humid air. He has heard tales of cursed treasure, whispered in the taverns of his youth, stories of sailors doomed by greed, their souls tethered to the earth by sins unatoned. He had dismissed them as fables, the ramblings of men drunk on rum and starlight, but now, with the jungle closing in and the phantom sorrow etched into his memory, he feels the truth of it. The island is alive with secrets, and he is no longer just its tenant. He is its keeper, bound to unravel its mysteries. The path twists, leading him through a grove where the trees are older, their trunks gnarled and thick, their roots sprawling like the veins of the earth. The air grows cooler here, the scent of decay stronger, mingling with the faint sweetness of wildflowers hidden in the undergrowth. A stream cuts through the grove, its water clear and cold, bubbling over smooth stones. Crusoe pauses, kneeling to cup the water in his hands, its chill a shock against his parched lips. The taste is clean, tinged with the minerality of the island's heart, and for a moment he closes his eyes, letting the sound of the stream wash over him, a soft gurgling lullaby that soothes the ache in his bones. As he rises, a flicker of movement catches his eye, not the phantom this time, but something subtler, a shimmer in the air like heat rising from the earth. He blinks, and for a moment he sees William, standing at the edge of the grove, his face sunlit and smiling, just as it was in those early days when they built their first shelter together. William points toward the stream, his gesture gentle but insistent, and then he is gone, leaving only the rustle of palms and the ripple of water. Crusoe's heart aches, a pang of loss and hope intertwined. Was it a vision, or merely his mind, worn by solitude, conjuring comfort from memory? He cannot say, but the stream calls to him now, its path winding toward the western shore. He follows it, the water guiding his steps as the jungle begins to thin. The air grows sharper, carrying the salt of the sea, and the roar of the waves grows louder, a steady drumbeat against the cliffs. The palms give way to scrub and sand, and at last he reaches the cove, where the cliffs loom like sentinels, their surfaces pitted by centuries of wind and spray. The sea is a living thing here, its waves crashing with a force that shakes the ground, spraying mist that clings to his skin like a second skin. The air tastes of salt and iron, and the rocks below are slick with seaweed, their edges honed to razor sharpness by the tides. Can you hear the sea's relentless hymn, its voice both fierce and soothing? Can you feel the spray on your face, cool and fleeting like a whisper of the past? Crusoe stands at the cliff's edge, his gaze sweeping the cove, searching for a sign. The phantom's words echo, cast it back to the sea. But where is the treasure? The sea is vast, its surface shimmering under the midday sun, and the wind carries a metallic bite, as if the island itself holds a secret it is reluctant to share. He thinks of the stones in the clearing, their markings pointing to this place, and feels a spark of resolve. The island has tested him before. Storms, hunger, despair, and he has endured. This is no different, he tells himself, though his heart beats faster, stirred by the weight of the unknown. He begins his descent, his hands gripping the rough stone, his muscles straining against the weight of his own body. The cliffs are treacherous, their surfaces slick with spray, and the wind tugs at his clothes, threatening to pull him into the sea below. His boots slip on the rocks, and for a moment he hangs precariously, his fingers digging into a crevice, his breath ragged. But he is no stranger to hardship, and he presses on, his determination a fire that burns brighter than fear. The sea roars below, its voice a challenge, but also a promise, as if it knows what he seeks. At the base of the cliff he finds a crevice, half hidden by seaweed and shadow, its entrance narrow and uninviting. The air here is colder, heavy with the scent of salt and something older, like the memory of a ship long lost. He kneels, his hands brushing aside the seaweed, and sees it. A chest, small and weathered, its wood blackened by time and tide. His heart pounds as he pried it open, the hinges groaning in protest, revealing a handful of coins, their surfaces tarnished but gleaming with a strange, unnatural light. They are heavy in his hand, heavier than their size suggests, as if they carry the weight of lives lost, of promises broken. He lifts one, its edges worn but sharp, and feels a chill that has nothing to do with the sea. These are no ordinary coins. They pulse with a sorrow that seeps into his bones. He thinks of the phantom, of the sailor's eyes, burning with centuries of grief, and knows what he must do. But as he gathers the coins, his hands trembling, a vision grips him, sudden and vivid. The cove fades, and he is aboard a ship, its deck rolling beneath a storm-tossed sky. Men shout, their voices drowned by the howl of the wind, and the sailor, the phantom, stands at the helm, his face twisted with greed. Blood stains the deck, and the coins gleaming in his hands are a prize won through betrayal. The vision shifts, and Crusoe sees the island, not as it is now, but as it was then, a refuge for a shipwrecked crew, their hope turning to despair as the sailor hoards the gold, cursing his companions to death. The stones in the clearing appear, etched by desperate hands, a warning and a plea. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back in the cove, the coins cold in his hands, the sea roaring before him. William's presence lingers, a gentle nudge, urging him to act. Can you imagine the weight of such a vision? The past pressing against the present, heavy as the waves? What would you do, holding a curse in your hands? He climbs back to the cliff's edge, the coins heavy in his sack, their weight a burden he feels in his soul. The sea stretches before him, vast and unyielding, its waves curling like fingers reaching for the shore. With a whispered prayer, not to God, but to William, to the island, to the phantom whose sorrow he now shares, he casts the coins into the water. They vanish beneath the surface, swallowed by the sea's embrace, and the air shifts, a sudden breeze carrying the scent of rain and something sweeter, like the bloom of a long dormant flower. The palms above rustle, their fronds swaying as if in approval, and Crusoe feels a lightness he has not known in years. The island exhales, its secrets released, its burdens eased. He stands there, the wind cool against his skin, and listens to the sea, its rhythm slower now, almost peaceful. The cove feels different, the air lighter, as if the curse has lifted, though he knows the task is not yet complete. The phantom's plea was clear: cast the treasure back to the sea. But the stones in the clearing hold more secrets. Their markings a map he has only begun to understand. He thinks of William, of the vision, and feels a spark of hope. The island is speaking to him, its voice soft but insistent, guiding him toward the next step. He returns to the jungle as the sun begins to set, the sky a tapestry of crimson and gold. The path is easier now, the vines less grasping, the air cooler with the promise of night. The scent of wildflowers mingles with the salt of the sea and the sounds of the island. Birds, monkeys, the rustle of leaves are a chorus of life, no longer tinged with menace. Crusoe's steps are lighter, though his heart is heavy with the sailor's story, the betrayal that bound a soul to this place. He wonders about the men who died for those coins, their names lost to the sea, their stories buried in the sand. As he nears the clearing, the stones glow faintly under the twilight, their markings softer now, as if the island has begun to heal. He kneels, tracing the spirals with his fingers, and feels a presence. Not the phantom, but William, his laughter a whisper in the wind. "You're close," the voice seems to say, and Crusoe smiles, his heart warmed by the memory of his friend. The island is no longer just a place of survival. It is a partner, its mysteries unfolding like petals in the dawn. Can you feel the shift, the way the air grows lighter, the way the night hums with possibility? What would you do standing at the edge of a mystery with the past and present intertwined? He makes camp in the clearing, the stones a silent guardian around him. The fire he builds is small, its crackle a comfort against the vastness of the night, and the air is fragrant with the scent of burning wood and night-blooming flowers. He lies back, the ground soft beneath him, and watches the stars emerge, their light piercing the canopy above. The waves sing in the distance, their song a lullaby that carries him towards sleep. He dreams of the sea, of William, of the sailor whose sorrow he has begun to unravel, and knows that tomorrow the island will reveal more. The stars burn bright above the clearing, their light filtering through the canopy, casting a silver glow on the ancient stones. Crusoe lies by his small fire, its embers pulsing like a heartbeat, the air thick with the scent of burning wood and the sweet, fleeting perfume of night-blooming jasmine. The island is quiet now, save for the distant song of the waves and the soft rustle of palms, their fronds swaying as if whispering secrets to the night. The ground beneath him is cool, yielding, a cradle of earth and moss that holds him gently. His dreams are restless, filled with the sailor's face, those sorrowful eyes, the weight of a curse that binds him to this place. And woven through it all is William, his friend's laughter a beacon in the dark, guiding him towards something he cannot yet name. He wakes with the dawn, the sky a delicate wash of pink and gold, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. The clearing feels different this morning, as if the island has softened, its edges less sharp, its secrets closer to the surface. The stones gleam in the early light, their markings clearer now, the spirals and lines forming a pattern that tugs at his memory. He kneels beside them, his fingers tracing the grooves, worn smooth by time and tide. They speak of a journey, not just to the cove, but deeper, to a place where the earth meets the sea in a ritual older than the palms themselves. Can you feel the weight of such a discovery, the way the past reaches out, its fingers brushing against the present? What would you do standing before stones that hold a story no one else has read? Crusoe's hands are steady as he gathers his tools, spade, knife, a length of rope, and a small sack for whatever he might find. The vision of the sailor, blood-stained and desperate, lingers in his mind, a story of betrayal that ended in a curse. He thinks of the coins, now returned to the sea, and wonders if their weight was enough to lift the phantom's burden. But the stones suggest more, a ritual unfinished, a final act to set the sailor free. He feels William's presence, not as a vision now, but as a warmth in his chest, a whisper in the wind that urges him to keep going. The island is no longer just a place of survival. It is a partner, its rhythms entwined with his own. He sets out, following the markings' silent guidance, the path leading him deeper into the jungle. The air is heavy with the scent of damp leaves and the faint sweetness of overripe fruit, fallen and forgotten in the undergrowth. The palms tower above, their fronds a canopy that filters the sun into slivers of gold, casting shadows that dance across his path. The sounds of the island surround him, the chatter of parrots, the hum of insects, the distant crash of waves. But they are softer today, as if the jungle holds its breath, waiting for him to unravel its secrets. His boots sink into the soft earth, the mud cool against his soles, and he moves with purpose, his heart beating in time with the island's pulse. The path twists through a grove of ancient trees, their trunks gnarled and thick, their roots sprawling like the veins of a living thing. The air grows cooler here, the scent of moss and earth stronger, mingling with the faint tang of salt carried from the sea. A stream cuts through the grove, its water clear and cold, bubbling over smooth stones. Crusoe pauses, kneeling to drink, the water sharp against his lips, tasting of the island's heart. As he rises, a flicker of movement catches his eye, a shimmer in the air like heat rising from the earth. He blinks, and there is William again, standing at the stream's edge, his face sunlit and smiling, just as it was in those early days when they fished together, their laughter echoing across the shore. William points downstream, his gesture gentle but firm, and then he is gone, leaving only the ripple of water and the rustle of palms. Crusoe's heart aches, a pang of loss and hope intertwined. He knows these visions are not mere tricks of the mind. They are the island's gift, or perhaps William's, guiding him toward the truth. He follows the stream, its path winding through the jungle, the air growing sharper with the scent of salt as the sea draws near. The palms thin, giving way to scrub and sand, and soon he stands at the edge of a new place. A hidden lagoon, its waters still and dark, surrounded by cliffs that rise like silent guardians. The lagoon is a mirror, reflecting the sky's fading gold, its surface unbroken save for the occasional ripple of a fish darting beneath. The air here is heavy with the scent of salt and seaweed, and the cliffs are pitted with caves, their mouths dark and uninviting. The waves are quieter here, their roar muffled by the cliffs, but the silence is its own presence, thick and expectant. Crusoe feels the weight of it, as if the lagoon holds its breath, waiting for him to act. Can you imagine standing in such a place, where the air hums with secrets, where the earth and sea seem to whisper your name? What would you do faced with a mystery that feels alive? He steps closer, his boots sinking into the soft sand, and scans the cliffs searching for a sign. The stone's markings had pointed here, their spirals mirroring the lagoon's shape, their lines leading to a cave half hidden by vines and shadow. He approaches, his heart pounding, the air cool and damp against his skin. The cave's entrance is narrow, its walls slick with moisture, and the scent of salt is stronger here, mingled with the faint, acrid bite of something metallic. He lights a torch, its flame casting flickering shadows on the walls, and steps inside, the darkness swallowing him like the sea itself. The cave is shallow, its floor uneven, strewn with small stones and bits of coral worn smooth by time. At its far end, he finds it. A small altar, carved from the rock itself, its surface etched with the same spirals and lines as the stones in the clearing. Before it lies a single coin, identical to those he cast into the sea, its surface gleaming with that strange unnatural light. Crusoe's breath catches, his fingers trembling as he lifts it, its weight heavy in his hand, its chill seeping into his bones. This is the heart of the curse, he knows, the final piece that binds the phantom to this place. As he holds the coin, a vision grips him, more vivid than before. The cave fades, and he's aboard the ship again, the storm raging, the deck slick with rain and blood. The sailor, the phantom, stands over a fallen man, his knife glinting in the lightning's flash. The coins, clutched in his hands, are a prize won through betrayal, a fortune stolen from a crew that trusted him. The vision shifts, and Crusoe sees the island, the sailor alone, his companions dead, their bodies claimed by the sea. He buries the coins, not out of greed, but fear, hoping to hide his sin. But the island does not forget, and the stones, etched by dying hands, bind him to this place, a prisoner of his own guilt. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back in the cave, the coin cold in his hand, the torch's flame flickering against the walls. William's presence is stronger now, a warmth that steadies his heart. "Finish it," the whisper seems to say, and Crusoe nods, his resolve firm. The stone's markings had spoken of a ritual, a final act to release the curse, a coin buried, not cast away, but returned to the earth with words of atonement. He kneels before the altar, his knife cutting a small hollow in the cave's floor, the earth soft and yielding. He places the coin inside, covering it with sand and stone, and speaks softly, his voice rough but steady. "Let this be the end," he says, "of sorrow, of blood, of chains unseen. May the sea forgive and the earth release." The words are his own, born of instinct, but they feel right, as if the island itself guides his tongue. The air shifts, a breeze stirring the cave, carrying the scent of rain and salt. The torch flickers, and for a moment he sees the phantom, not as a figure of sorrow, but as a man. His face softened, his eyes free of pain. The sailor nods, a silent thanks, and then he is gone. The cave empty, save for the altar and the coin now buried beneath the earth. Crusoe steps out into the lagoon, the sky now dark, the stars bright above the cliffs. The air is lighter, the silence less heavy, as if the island has exhaled, its burden lifted. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering a new song, one of peace rather than secrets. He feels William's presence still, a warmth that lingers in the breeze, and smiles. The island is his home, its rhythms his own, and tonight, as the waves sing their endless lullaby, he knows he has done something good. Can you feel the peace of such a moment? The way the world seems to sigh in relief. What would you do, having set a soul free? He makes his way back through the jungle, the path familiar now, the vines less grasping, the air fragrant with the scent of night-blooming flowers and the tang of salt. The island feels different, its pulse steadier, its shadows softer. He thinks of the sailor, of the coins, of the vision that showed him a past he could not change but could redeem. The clearing is not far, and he knows he must return to the stones to see if their markings have faded, if the island has truly let go of its ghosts. The fire he builds tonight will be brighter, its crackle a song of hope, and the stars above will guide him towards sleep. The jungle welcomes Crusoe back as he leaves the lagoon behind, its paths softer now, as if the island itself has eased its grip. The air is cool, fragrant with the scent of night-blooming jasmine and the faint tang of salt carried from the distant sea. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering a melody that feels less like a secret and more like a song of peace. The stars above burn bright, their light piercing the canopy, casting a silver glow on the earth below. His boots tread lightly, the mud no longer clinging as fiercely, and the sounds of the island, parrots calling in the dark, the rustle of leaves, the hum of unseen insects, are a chorus that lulls rather than warns. The fire he left in the clearing flickers in his mind, a beacon calling him back, but his heart is heavy with the weight of what he has done. The coin buried in the cave, the phantom's fleeting nod of thanks. The path winds through the grove of ancient trees, their gnarled trunks standing like silent sentinels, their roots sprawling across the earth like veins of memory. The air grows thicker here, heavy with the scent of moss and damp wood, and the stream he followed earlier gurgles softly, its water catching the starlight in fleeting glints. Crusoe pauses, kneeling to splash his face, the cold a shock against his skin, tasting of minerals in the island's deep heart. He closes his eyes, letting the sound of the stream wash over him, a gentle rhythm that steadies his breath. Can you hear the water's song, soft and unending, like a lullaby woven from the earth? Can you feel the night's embrace, cool and quiet, wrapping you in its folds? He rises, his hands steady, though his mind churns with the sailor's story, the vision of betrayal, of blood on the deck, of coins that bound a soul to this place. The ritual in the cave felt right. The words he spoke a bridge between past and present, but the island still hums with secrets, its pulse thrumming beneath his feet. He thinks of William, his friend's laughter, a constant presence guiding him through the dark. Was it William who led him to the cave, who whispered the words of atonement? The thought warms him, a spark of hope in the vastness of the night, and he presses on, the clearing not far now, the stones waiting with their silent truths. As he walks, the jungle seems to shift, its shadows softer, its paths clearer. The air carries the scent of wildflowers, their petals pale in the starlight, and the palms lean closer, their fronds brushing his shoulders like a gentle touch. He feels the islands change, a lightness that was not there before, as if the curse's weight has begun to lift. Yet he knows the task is not complete. The stone's markings, though faded, still hold meaning, a map to a final act he has yet to uncover. The vision in the cave showed him the sailor's sin, but not the full story, not the lives lost, the crew betrayed, the promises broken. He wonders about them, those men whose names are lost to the sea, their stories buried in the sand. The clearing comes into view, the stones glowing faintly under the starlight, their spirals and lines softened but still present, like scars that have begun to heal. Crusoe kneels beside them, his fingers tracing the etchings, feeling the grooves worn smooth by time. They speak of a ritual, not just of coins cast to the sea or buried in the earth, but of something deeper, a reckoning with the past, a restoration of balance. He sits back, the ground cool beneath him, and lets the silence settle, the air heavy with the scent of earth and salt. The fire he built earlier has burned low, its embers pulsing like stars fallen to the earth, and he adds a branch, the crackle a comfort against the night's vastness. As the flames rise, a vision grips him, sudden and vivid, pulling him from the clearing into a world of storm and sea. He's aboard the ship again, the deck rolling beneath a sky torn by lightning, the air thick with the smell of rain and blood. The sailor, the phantom, stands at the helm, his face twisted with greed, his hands clutching the coins as his crew pleads for mercy. Crusoe sees their faces now, not just shadows, but men, young and old, their eyes wide with fear and betrayal. One, a boy barely grown, clutches a locket, his lips moving in a silent prayer. Another, older, with a weathered face, tries to wrest the coins from the sailor, only to fall, his blood staining the deck. The vision shifts, and Crusoe sees the island, not as it is now, but as it was then, a refuge for a shipwrecked crew, their hope turning to despair as the sailor hoards the gold, hiding it in the cave, cursing his companions to death. The stones appear, etched by the boy's trembling hands, a final act of defiance before the sea claims him. The sailor alone buries the coins, not out of greed but fear, hoping to hide his sin. But the island does not forget, its palms whispering, its waves chanting, binding him to this place until atonement is made. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back in the clearing, his breath ragged, the fire's warmth a faint comfort against the chill of what he has seen. William's presence is stronger now, a warmth that steadies his heart. He sees him, not in the vision, but in the clearing, standing at the edge, his smile soft under the starlight. "You're close," William seems to say, his voice a whisper in the wind, and Crusoe nods, his resolve firm. The stone's markings speak of a final ritual, a burial not just of coins, but of memory, a way to honour the crew whose lives were lost. He thinks of the boy, the locket, the prayer unspoken, and feels a pang of sorrow. What would you do faced with such a story, the weight of lives lost pressing against you? Can you imagine the silence of the clearing, the way the stars seem to listen? Crusoe rises, his hands steady, and begins to search the clearing, his eyes scanning the earth for a sign. The stone's markings had pointed to the lagoon, but they also spoke of this place, of a final act to be performed here, where the island's heart beats strongest. He walks the perimeter, his boots sinking into the soft earth, the air fragrant with the scent of moss and night-blooming flowers. Near the largest stone he finds it, a small hollow, hidden by roots and leaves, as if the island has guarded it until this moment. Inside, wrapped in tattered cloth, is the locket from the vision, its surface tarnished but intact, a relic of a life cut short. He lifts it, his fingers trembling, and opens it to find a lock of hair, dark and fine, tucked inside. The boy's face flashes in his mind, his prayer a whisper that lingers in the air. Crusoe's heart aches, not just for the boy, but for all of them. The crew, the sailor, the lives bound to this island by a single act of betrayal. He knows what he must do. The ritual's final piece falling into place. The locket must be buried here, in the clearing, with words to honour the lost, to set their souls free alongside the phantoms. He kneels, his knife cutting a deeper hollow in the earth, the soil cool and yielding, like a hand waiting to receive. He places the locket inside, covering it with earth, and a scattering of wildflowers he gathers from the clearing's edge. For you, he says softly, his voice rough but steady, who were lost to the sea, to greed, to time, may you rest now in the island's embrace. The words are simple, born of instinct, but they feel right, as if the palms themselves nod in approval. The air shifts, a breeze stirring the clearing, carrying the scent of rain and salt, and the stone's glow fades, their markings barely visible now, as if the island has accepted his offering. He sits back, the fire's crackle a gentle counterpoint to the silence, and feels a peace he has not known in years. The island is different now, its pulse steadier, its shadows softer. He thinks of William, of the laughter they shared, of the nights spent telling stories under these same stars. He sees him again, standing at the clearing's edge, his smile brighter now, his presence a warmth that fills the night. "You did well," William seems to say, and Crusoe smiles, his heart lightened by the words. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering a new song, one of closure, of peace. He lies back, the ground a cradle beneath him, and watches the stars, their light a map of dreams. The air is cool, fragrant with the scent of earth and sea, and the waves in the distance sing their endless lullaby. He thinks of the sailor, of the boy, of the crew whose names he will never know, and wonders if they too feel this peace. The island is his home, its rhythms his own, and tonight, as the fire burns low and the stars shine bright, he knows he is not alone. Can you feel the island's sigh, the way its secrets settle into silence? What would you do, having honoured the past, standing at the edge of a new dawn? He sleeps deeply, his dreams no longer restless but soft, filled with the sound of waves and the scent of wildflowers. In one dream, he sees the sailor, not as a phantom, but as a man standing on the shore, his face free of sorrow, his eyes turned to the sea. The boy is there too, his locket gone, his smile bright as he runs along the sand. William watches, his laughter a melody that carries through the night, and Crusoe knows the island has changed, its ghosts laid to rest. He wakes with the dawn, the sky a delicate wash of pink and gold, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. He returns to the clearing, the stones now silent, their markings faded to mere shadows, as if the island has let go of its past. He kneels, his fingers brushing the earth where the locket lies, and feels a warmth that has nothing to do with the sun. The jungle is alive around him, its sounds a chorus of life. Birds calling, monkeys chattering, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. The air smells of dew and earth, and the palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of green and gold. He thinks of the sailor, of the crew, of William, and knows this place is no longer a prison but a home, its mysteries resolved, its stories told. He walks the shore that morning, the sand cool beneath his feet, the waves a steady hymn. The air tastes of salt and promise, and the island feels lighter, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the locket, of the ritual, and wonders about the lives that came before him, their stories now part of the island's song. The palms whisper, their secrets gentle now, and he smiles, his heart full. Can you imagine such a morning, where the world feels new, where the past and present weave together like the waves? What would you do walking shore that knows your name? The morning sun spills across the shore, its light weaving through the palms, casting golden threads on the sand that stretches smooth and endless before the sea. Crusoe walks slowly, his boots leaving faint impressions in the damp earth, each step a quiet conversation with the island. The air is crisp, carrying the tang of salt and the faint sweetness of wild guava, ripened by the dawn's warmth. The waves hum their steady hymn, their rhythm softer now, as if the sea itself has exhaled, its anger soothed by the ritual in the cave, the locket buried in the clearing. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering a melody that feels like home, and the island's pulse beats in time with his own, a harmony he has not felt in years. Can you taste the salt on the breeze, sharp and fleeting, like a memory of the sea's embrace? Can you feel the sand beneath your feet, cool and yielding as if it knows your name? The island is different now, its edges softened, its shadows less heavy. Crusoe feels it in the air, lighter and fragrant with the scent of dew and blooming flowers, and in the sounds, a chorus of birds, their calls bright and untroubled, the rustle of leaves no longer tinged with menace. The ritual in the cave, the burial of the locket in the clearing, has changed something fundamental, as if the island has shed a layer of its past, its ghosts laid to rest. Yet he knows the story is not over. The stones, though faded, still hold whispers, their markings a map he has only begun to follow. The sailor's face lingers in his mind, no longer a phantom of sorrow, but a man, his eyes softened by the promise of freedom, and William. William is everywhere, his laughter a warmth in the breeze, his presence a guide through the island's lingering mysteries. Crusoe pauses at the shore's edge, the waves lapping at his boots, their foam cool against his skin. He thinks of the locket, the boy's prayer, the crew lost to greed and time. Their stories are part of the island now, woven into its sand and stone, its palms and sea. He wonders about their lives, where they sailed from, what dreams they carried before the sailor's betrayal bound them to this place. The air carries the scent of seaweed and salt, and the sun warms his face. It's like a reminder of days spent with William, fishing these same waters, their voices mingling with the waves. Can you imagine such a shore where every wave carries a story, where the past hums beneath the surface? What would you do walking a path where ghosts and memories intertwine? He turns from the sea, his gaze drawn to a glint in the sand half buried by the tide. He kneels, his fingers brushing aside the grains, and finds a fragment of wood, weathered and smooth, its edges carved with faint markings. A ship's name, perhaps, or a sailor's prayer. It is a relic, a piece of the past washed ashore by the sea's endless churning. He holds it, its weight light but significant, and feels a spark of recognition. This is no ordinary driftwood. It is a piece of the sailor's ship, the vessel from his visions, its deck stained with blood and betrayal. The markings are faint, but they echo the spirals and lines of the stones, as if the island itself has brought this relic to him, a clue to the story's next chapter. He tucks the fragment into his sack, his heart quickening with purpose. The island is speaking, its voice soft but insistent, guiding him toward a truth he has yet to fully grasp. He thinks of William, of the visions that have led him this far, and feels his friend's presence stronger now, a warmth that steadies his hands. The path back to the clearing calls to him, but first he walks the shore, his eyes scanning the sand for more signs. The air is alive with the scent of salt and the faint musk of damp earth, and the waves whisper secrets, their rhythm a lullaby that soothes his restless mind. He finds nothing more, but the fragment in his sack is enough, a piece of the past, a bridge to the sailor's story. The jungle welcomes him as he leaves the shore, its paths familiar now, the vines less grasping, the air cooler with the shade of the palms. The scent of moss and wildflowers fills his lungs, and the sounds of the island, monkeys chattering, birds calling, the distant roar of the sea, are a chorus that feels like home. He moves with purpose, his steps steady, the fragment in his sack a weight that anchors him to the task. The clearing is not far, its stones a beacon in his mind, their markings a map he must decipher. He thinks of the sailor, of the boy, of the crew whose lives were lost, and wonders if this relic is the key to their final rest. As he nears the clearing, the air grows heavier, the scent of earth and salt mingling with the faint sweetness of overripe fruit. The palms part, revealing the stones, their surfaces gleaming under the midday sun, their markings faded but still present, like whispers of a story not yet complete. Crusoe kneels, his fingers tracing the spirals, feeling the grooves worn smooth by time. The fragment in his sack seems to hum, its markings aligning with those on the stones, as if the island has woven them together, a puzzle waiting to be solved. He places the wood beside the largest stone, its surface warm from the sun, and feels a shift, a ripple in the air like the breath of the earth. A vision grips him, sudden and vivid, pulling him from the clearing into a world of sea and storm. He's aboard the ship again, its deck rolling beneath a sky torn by lightning, the air thick with the smell of rain and blood. The sailor stands at the helm, his hands clutching the coins, his eyes wild with greed. The crew surrounds him, their voices raised in anger, their faces etched with fear. The boy with the locket is there, his hands trembling as he carves the ship's name into a fragment of wood, a desperate act to be remembered. The older man, weathered and strong, fights to wrest the coins away, only to fall, his blood pooling on the deck. The sailor's voice rises above the storm, a curse that binds them all, crew, ship, and gold to the island's heart. The vision shifts, and Crusoe sees the island, the ship wrecked on its jagged rocks, the crew struggling to shore. The sailor alone buries the coins in the cave, his hands shaking with fear, not greed. The boy, weak and fevered, etches the stones in the clearing, his locket clutched tight, a prayer for salvation. The others fall one by one to hunger, to despair, their bodies claimed by the sea. The sailor lives, but not truly, his soul tethered to the island by the weight of his sin. The fragment of wood washes ashore, a relic of their story, waiting for someone to find it, to finish what they could not. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back in the clearing, his breath ragged, the fragment warm in his hands. William's presence is a steady warmth, his laughter a whisper in the wind. "You see now," the voice seems to say, and Crusoe nods, his heart heavy with the crew's story, their lives lost to a single act of betrayal. The stone's markings speak of a final ritual, not just of coins or lockets, but of the ship itself, a piece of its heart, buried where the earth and sea meet, to honour the crew and free the sailor's soul. He thinks of the fragment, its markings a mirror of the stones, and knows where he must go. He rises, his hands steady, and gathers his tools, spade, knife, rope, and the fragment, its weight a promise in his sack. The path to the western shore calls to him, where the cliffs rise sharp and the sea crashes with unrelenting force. The air is warm now, the scent of salt and earth mingling with the faint sweetness of wildflowers, and the palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of green and gold. The island feels alive, its pulse thrumming beneath his feet, guiding him toward the shore where the ship met its end. Can you feel the island's call, the way it hums with purpose, urging you forward? What would you do, holding a piece of the past, its story heavy in your hands? The jungle thins as he nears the shore, the palms giving way to scrub and sand, the air sharp with the tang of salt. The cliffs loom ahead, their surfaces pitted by wind and spray, and the waves roar below, their rhythm a challenge and a promise. He stands at the edge, the fragment in his hand, and scans the rocks below, searching for a sign. The vision had shown him the ship's end, its hull shattered on the jagged rocks, its pieces scattered by the sea. The fragment points to a place where the cliffs meet the shore, a narrow strip of sand where the tide pools gather, their waters dark and still. He descends, his hands gripping the rough stone, his muscles straining against the wind's pull. The rocks are slick with spray, and the air tastes of salt and iron, a reminder of the blood spilled long ago. At the base of the cliff he finds it, a hollow in the sand, half hidden by seaweed and shells, where the tide has carved a shallow grave. He kneels, his spade breaking the earth, and buries the fragment, its markings facing the sea, a tribute to the ship and its crew. For you, he says softly, his voice rough but steady, who sailed and fell, who dreamed and lost. May the sea carry you home. The words are his own, born of the island's whisper, and the air shifts, a breeze stirring the sand, carrying the scent of rain and salt. The waves seem to soften, their roar a gentle murmur, and the palms above sway, their fronds whispering approval. Crusoe feels a lightness, as if the island itself has exhaled, its final secret laid to rest. He climbs back to the cliff's edge, the sun dipping low, painting the sky in hues of amber and violet. The air is cool now, fragrant with the scent of night-blooming flowers, and the island feels whole, its pulse steady, its shadows soft. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the boy, and knows their stories are part of him now, woven into the sand and sea. He returns to the clearing as night falls, the stones silent, their markings gone, as if the island has closed its book. He builds a fire, its crackle a song of peace, and lies back, the ground a cradle beneath him. The stars burn bright, their light a map of dreams, and the waves sing their endless lullaby. He feels William's presence, a warmth that lingers in the breeze and smiles. The island is his home, its rhythms his own, and tonight, as the fire burns low and the stars shine, he knows he has honoured the past. Can you feel the peace of such a night, the way the world seems to sigh in relief? What would you do, having woven a story into the earth, its secrets finally free? The morning unfurls like a sail catching the wind, its light spilling across the clearing in waves of gold and rose, as if the island has opened its heart to the day. Crusoe stirs, the ground beneath him a soft cradle of moss and earth, the air thick with the scent of dew-soaked leaves and the faint musk of smouldering ash from his fire. The palms stand tall, their fronds swaying in a gentle dance, casting fleeting shadows across the stones, now quiet, their markings softened to mere echoes of the past. His limbs are heavy from the trials of the cliffs, the cave, the weight of rituals performed, but his spirit is buoyant, lifted by a peace that feels like the island's own breath. Can you sense the dawn's quiet embrace, the way it wraps you in its warmth? Can you hear the palms whisper, their secrets folding into silence? He rises, his fingers grazing the earth where the locket rests, its presence a silent vow beneath the soil. The clearing is a haven now, the stones no longer sentinels of sorrow, but witnesses to a story honoured. He thinks of the sailor, his eyes softened in that final vision, and of the boy, his locket a prayer answered by the island's grace. William's presence lingers, his laughter a melody woven into the breeze, and Crusoe's heart warms, stirred by the friend who has guided him through the shadows. The island is his home, its pulse his own, yet a quiet stirring tells him the tale is not yet fully told. He walks the path to the shore, the sand cool and yielding beneath his boots. the air fragrant with the tang of salt and the faint sweetness of wild guava. The waves lap gently, their foam curling like fingers reaching for the shore, and the sun climbs higher, its light glinting off the sea in a dance of gold and silver. He scans the horizon, his eyes tracing the line where sky meets sea, and feels a peace he has not known in years. The island has changed, or perhaps he has. Its pulse now a steady hum, its shadows soft and welcoming. He thinks of the fragment buried on the shore, the ship's name etched in wood, and wonders about the men who sailed it, their dreams lost to the sea's endless hunger. As he walks, the tide recedes, unveiling a stretch of sand kissed by the sea's retreat. There, half buried, he spies it, a fragment of a carved wooden figurehead, its weathered curves shaped like a mermaid's flowing hair, smoothed by the sea's endless caress. He kneels, his fingers sifting through the cool grains, and lifts it, its weight light yet laden with memory, its surface etched with faint traces of paint, faded to whispers of blue and gold. It is a piece of the sailor's ship, a sentinel that once graced its prow, now cast ashore by the tide's gentle hand. The air hums softly, the waves holding their breath, and Crusoe feels a stir of recognition, as if the island has whispered another secret, a thread in the tapestry of its past. He holds the fragment, its surface warm against his palm, and a vision grips him, softer this time, less storm-tossed but no less vivid. He sees the ship in calmer waters, its sails full, its crew alive with hope. The boy with the locket laughs, his voice bright as he traces the figurehead's curves, a symbol of their journey. The sailor, not yet a phantom, stands beside him, his face unmarred by greed, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The older man, weathered and strong, claps the boy's shoulder, his smile warm with pride. They are a family, bound by the sea, their dreams of fortune and freedom carried on the wind. The vision shifts, and Crusoe sees the storm, not as a moment of betrayal, but as a prelude, the crew's hope turning to fear as the waves rise and the ship groans under the strain. The figurehead is torn from the prow, lost to the sea as the ship breaks apart on the island's rocks. The boy clings to his locket, the sailor to his greed, and the others to fading dreams, their voices drowned by the storm. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back on the shore, the fragment heavy in his hand, the waves resuming their gentle hymn. William's presence is there, a warmth in the breeze urging him to act. He knows what he must do. The stones, the coins, the locket, the fragment, all the steps in a ritual to free the sailor, to honour the crew. This figurehead, the ship's heart, must be returned to the island, not buried but offered, a final act to close the story. He walks the shore, his eyes searching for the right place, the air sharp with the scent of salt and seaweed. The cliffs loom to his right, their surfaces pitted by wind and spray, and to his left, the sea stretches endlessly, its surface shimmering under the sun. He finds a rock pool, its water clear and still, surrounded by smooth stones that gleam like pearls in the light. He kneels, the sand soft beneath him, and places the fragment in the pool, its surface rippling as it sinks to the bottom. "For you," he says softly, his voice rough but steady, "who sailed and dreamed, who fell and were forgotten, may the island hold you, and the sea set you free." The words are his own, born of the island's whisper, and the air shifts, a breeze stirring the pool, carrying the scent of rain and salt. The palms above sway, their fronds whispering approval, and the waves seem to sing, their rhythm a song of closure. Crusoe feels a lightness, as if the island itself has exhaled, its final secret laid to rest. He rises, the sun warm on his face, and walks the shore, his steps lighter now, the fragment's weight gone from his hand and his heart. The island feels whole, its pulse steady, its shadows soft. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the boy, and knows their stories are part of him now, woven into the sand and sea. The air is fragrant with the scent of wildflowers and the tang of salt, and the birds call brightly, their songs a chorus of life. He wonders about the lives that came before, the dreams that sail to this shore, and feels a peace that settles deep in his bones. Can you feel the island's peace, the way its breath mingles with your own? What would you do, having given the past its due, standing on a shore that sings of home? He returns to the clearing as the day fades, the sky a tapestry of crimson and gold, the air cool with the promise of night. The stones are silent now, their markings gone, as if the island has closed its book. He builds a fire, its crackle a song of peace, and sits, the ground a cradle beneath him. The stars emerge, their light piercing the canopy, and the waves sing in the distance, their lullaby endless and soothing. He thinks of William, his laughter a warmth in the breeze, and smiles. The island is his home, its rhythms his own, and tonight, as the fire burns low and the stars shine, he knows he has honoured the past. He sleeps deeply, his dreams soft and untroubled, filled with the sound of waves and the scent of wildflowers. In one dream, he sees the sailor standing on the shore, his face free of sorrow, his eyes turned to the sea. The boy is there, his locket gone, his smile bright as he runs along the sand. The crew stands behind them, their faces clear now, their voices a chorus of thanks. William watches, his laughter a melody that carries through the night, and Crusoe knows the island has healed, its ghosts at rest. He wakes with the dawn, the sky a delicate wash of pink and gold, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. He walks the jungle, its paths familiar now, the vines no longer grasping, the air fragrant with the scent of moss and earth. The palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of green and gold, and the island feels alive, its pulse in harmony with his own. He finds a groove he has not seen before, its trees heavy with fruit, their leaves bright with dew. The air is sweet here, the scent of guava and wild mint mingling with the tang of salt, and the birds sing brightly. They call it a celebration of life. He kneels, his hands brushing the earth, and feels a warmth that has nothing to do with the sun. The island is flourishing, its heart unburdened, its stories told. He thinks of the sailor, of the crew, of William, and knows they are part of this place, their lives woven into its sand and stone. He carves a small marker in the grove, not for the sailor or the crew, but for William, a tribute to the friend who guided him through the dark. The wood is smooth, its surface warm from the sun, and he etches a simple line, a wave, a palm, a star. For you, he says softly, his voice steady, who laughed and dreamed, who led me home. The air shifts, a breeze stirring the grove, carrying the scent of rain and salt, and the palms nod, their fronds whispering approval. He walks the shore again, the sand cool beneath his feet, the waves a steady hymn. The air tastes of salt and promise, and the island feels whole, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the fragment, the locket, the coins, and knows the island has accepted his offerings, its ghosts laid to rest. The palms whisper, their secrets gentle now, and he smiles, his heart full. Can you imagine such a morning, where the world feels new, where the past and present weave together like the waves? What would you do, walking a shore that knows your name? The sun weaves its light through the jungle, casting golden flecks on the earth, where the dew sparkles like scattered jewels. Crusoe walks the familiar path from the shore, his boots treading softly on the sand-dusted trail, the air alive with the scent of wild mint and the faint tang of salt carried from the sea. The palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of green and gold, whispering a melody that feels like home. The island is whole now, its pulse steady, its shadows soft, as if the rituals, the coins cast to the sea, the locket buried in the clearing, the figurehead offered to the rock pool, have woven its past into a tapestry of peace. He thinks of William, his laughter a warmth in the breeze, and smiles, his heart light with the knowledge that the island's ghosts are at rest. Can you feel the jungle's embrace, its breath cool and fragrant, wrapping you in its quiet? Can you hear the palms' song, their notes soft and endless, like a lullaby for the soul? He reaches the grove he found at dawn, its trees heavy with fruit, their leaves bright with the morning's dew. The air is sweet here, thick with the scent of ripened guava and wildflowers, their petals pale in the dappled light. He kneels, his fingers brushing the earth where he carved the marker for William. A simple line, a wave, a palm, a star. The wood is warm, its surface smooth, and he feels a warmth that radiates from the soil, as if the island itself acknowledges his tribute. The birds sing brightly, their calls a celebration of life, and the air hums with the pulse of the earth, a rhythm that matches his own. He thinks of the sailor, the boy, the crew, their stories now part of this place, their dreams woven into its sand and stone. He sits, the ground a cradle beneath him, and lets the grove's peace settle over him. The air is fragrant with the scent of fruit and earth, and the palms lean closer, their fronds whispering tales of renewal. He thinks of the figurehead fragment, its carved curves resting in the rock pool, and wonders about the ship it once adorned. In his visions he saw it, a proud vessel, its sails catching the wind, its crew bound by hope. The boy's laughter, the sailor's unmarred face, the older man's pride. They were a family, their dreams of fortune and freedom carried on the sea's breath. Now their story is complete, their souls freed by his hands, and the island sings of their rest. He rises, his hand steady, and walks deeper into the jungle, drawn by a quiet call, a whisper in the wind that feels like William's voice. The path is narrow, the vines soft beneath his boots, and the air grows cooler, heavy with the scent of moss and damp wood. The sounds of the island surround him, parrots calling, monkeys chattering, the rustle of leaves stirred by the breeze. But they're gentle now, a chorus of life rather than warning. He feels the island's pulse strong and steady, as if it walks with him, guiding him toward a place he has not yet seen. Can you smell the jungle's heart, its breath thick with life, its secrets soft and welcoming? Can you feel the earth beneath you, alive with stories told and untold? The path opens to a new clearing, smaller than the one with the stones, its edges framed by palms that stand like silent guardians. The air is still here, fragrant with the scent of wildflowers and the faint tang of salt, as if the sea has reached this far inland. In the centre, he finds a shallow pool, its water clear and still, reflecting the sky's golden light. The earth around it is soft, scattered with petals and leaves, and he feels a stir of recognition, as if the island has led him here for a purpose. He kneels, his fingers brushing the water, its surface cool against his skin, and sees a glint beneath. A small tarnished compass, its needle still, its glass cracked but intact. He lifts it, its weight light but significant, and feels a spark of memory. This is no ordinary relic. It is a piece of the sailor's story, a tool that guided the ship before its fall, tears it from their hands, casting it to the sea. The vision shifts and Crusoe sees the island, the ship broken on its rocks, the compass lost to the waves. The boy clings to his locket, the sailor to his greed, and the others to fading hopes, their voices drowned by the storm. The compass washes ashore, carried by the tide to this hidden pool, waiting for someone to find it, to complete the story. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back in the clearing, the compass warm in his hand, the water rippling softly. William's presence is a warmth in the breeze, urging him to act. "Finish it," the whisper seems to say, and Crusoe nods, his heart steady. He knows the compass must be offered, not buried, but returned to the island's heart, a final gesture to honour the crew's dreams. He walks to the pool's edge, the earth soft beneath his knees, and places the compass on a flat stone, its surface gleaming in the light. "For you," he says softly, his voice rough but steady. "Who charted the stars, who dreamed of horizons, may the island guide you now, and the sea sing your name." The words are his own, born of the breeze, and the air shifts, a ripple spreading through the pool, carrying the scent of rain and salt. The palms sway, their fronds whispering approval, and the water seems to glow, its light a reflection of the island's peace. He rises, the sun warm on his face, and feels a lightness, as if the island has exhaled its final breath of sorrow. The clearing is a sanctuary, its air fragrant with the scent of wild flowers and earth, its sounds a chorus of life. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the boy, and knows their stories are complete, their souls woven into the island's song. The palms lean closer, their fronds a canopy of green and gold, and the air hums with the pulse of the earth, a rhythm that matches his own. Can you feel the clearing's peace, the way the world seems to breathe with you? What would you do, having honoured a dream, standing in a place that knows your heart? He returns to the shore as the day fades, the sky a tapestry of crimson and violet, the air cool with the promise of night. The waves lap gently, their foam curling like a gentle touch, and the sand is soft beneath his boots. He builds a fire, its crackle a song of closure, and sits, the sea a mirror before him, reflecting the stars that begin to pierce the sky. The air is fragrant with the scent of salt and night-blooming jasmine, and the island feels whole, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the compass, the locket, the figurehead, and knows the island has accepted his offerings, its stories told, its ghosts at rest. He sleeps deeply, his dreams soft and untroubled, filled with the sound of waves and the scent of wildflowers. In one dream, he sees the sailor, standing on the shore, his face free of sorrow, his eyes turned to the sea. The boy is there, his locket gone, his smile bright as he runs along the sand. The crew stands behind them, their faces clear, their voices a chorus of thanks. William watches, his laughter a melody that carries through the night, and Crusoe knows the island has healed, its heart unburdened. He wakes with the dawn, the sky a delicate wash of pink and gold, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. He walks the jungle, its path familiar now, the vines soft beneath his boots, the air fragrant with the scent of moss and earth. The palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of light and shadow, and the island feels alive, its pulse in harmony with his own. He finds a new grove, its trees heavy with fruit, their leaves bright with dew. The air is sweet here, the scent of guava and wild mint mingling with the tang of salt, and the birds sing brightly, their calls a celebration of life. He kneels, his hands brushing the earth, and feels a warmth that radiates from the soil, a sign of the island's renewal. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the crew, and knows they are part of this place, their lives woven into its sand and stone. He carves a new marker, not for the sailor or the crew, but for the island itself, a tribute to its stories, its peace. The wood is smooth, its surface warm from the sun, and he etches a simple line, a wave, a palm, a star. "For you," he says softly, his voice steady, "who held the past, who sang the future." The air shifts, a breeze stirring the grove, carrying the scent of rain and salt, and the palms nod, their fronds whispering approval. The morning sun spills across the grove, its light weaving through the palms, casting golden threads on the earth where the dew glimmers like scattered pearls. Crusoe stands by the marker he carved, its simple lines, a wave, a palm, a star, gleaming in the dawn's embrace. The air is crisp, fragrant with the scent of ripened fruit and the faint tang of salt carried from the distant sea. The waves hum their steady hymn, their rhythm a heartbeat that echoes the island's own, a pulse that feels like home. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering a melody of peace, and Crusoe feels the island's warmth, its stories woven into his own, its ghosts at rest. Can you taste the morning's breath, sweet with fruit and sharp with salt? Can you feel the earth beneath you, alive with the promise of a new day? He walks the shore, the sand soft and cool beneath his boots, the waves curling gently, their foam a delicate lace against the shore. The air is alive with the scent of seaweed and wild flowers, their petals scattered by the breeze, and the sun climbs higher, its light a golden veil across the sea. He thinks of the compass, resting on the stone in the hidden pool, and of the figurehead fragment, its carved curves cradled by the rock pool's waters. The island has accepted his offerings, its heart unburdened, its stories told. He wonders about the sailor, the boy, the crew, their lives now part of this place, their dreams carried by the waves. He pauses, his gaze drawn to the horizon, where the sea meets the sky in a seamless dance of blue and gold. The air is warm now, the scent of salt mingling with the faint sweetness of guava, and he feels William's presence, a warmth in the breeze, a laughter that lingers in the rustle of the palms. He thinks of their early days when they built their shelter together, their voices mingling with the waves, their dreams of rescue and a fragile hope. William is gone, his body claimed by fever and the sea, but his spirit is here, woven into the island's song, guiding Crusoe through the dark. Can you imagine such a shore, where memories walk with you, their voices soft as the waves? What would you do standing in a place where the past and present weave together? He returns to the jungle, its paths familiar now. The vines soft beneath his boots, the air fragrant with the scent of moss and earth. The palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of light and shadow, and the island feels alive, its pulse in harmony with his own. He finds a new path, one he has not walked before, its entrance framed by trees heavy with fruit, their leaves bright with dew. The air is sweet here, the scent of guava and wild mint mingling with the tang of salt, and the birds sing brightly. They call it a celebration of life. He follows the path drawn by a quiet call, a whisper in the wind that feels like William's voice. The path opens to a small cove, its waters calm and clear, reflecting the sky's golden light. The air is heavy with the scent of salt and seaweed, and the cliffs around it are smooth, their surfaces worn by centuries of tides. In the centre of the cove he sees it, a smooth stone, half buried in the sand, its surface etched with a single line, a wave that mirrors the marker he carved. He kneels, his fingers brushing the stone, and feels a warmth that radiates from the earth, as if the island itself acknowledges his presence. The air hums softly, the waves whispering, and a vision grips him, gentle and fleeting. He sees the island not as it is now, but as it was then, a refuge for the sailors' crew, their hope fading as the storm's wreckage scattered their dreams. The boy stands on this shore, his locket clutched tight, his eyes turned to the sea. The sailor, his face heavy with guilt, carves the wave into the stone, a plea for forgiveness. The older man, weakened by hunger, watches, his smile faint but steady. They are bound by the island, their stories etched into its sand and stone, waiting for someone to set them free. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back in the cove, the stone warm beneath his fingers, the waves singing softly. He knows this stone is the island's final gift, a marker of its peace, a sign that the story is complete. He rises, his heart steady, and walks the cove, his boots sinking into the soft sand. The air is fragrant with the scent of salt and wildflowers, and the palms lean closer, their fronds whispering approval. He thinks of William, of the laughter they shared, and feels his friend's presence, a warmth that lingers in the breeze. "You did well," the whisper seems to say, and Crusoe smiles, his heart full. The island is his home, its rhythms his own, and he knows he has honoured the past. He builds a fire on the shore as the day fades, its crackle a song of closure, its light dancing across the waves. The sky's a tapestry of crimson and violet, the stars beginning to pierce the twilight, and the air is cool, fragrant with the scent of night-blooming jasmine and salt. He sits, the sand a cradle beneath him, and watches the sea, its surface a mirror of the stars. The waves sing their endless lullaby, and he feels the island's pulse, steady and strong, a rhythm that carries him towards sleep. He dreams of William, of the sailor, of the boy, their faces clear now, their voices a chorus of thanks. The island is whole, its heart unburdened, its stories told. He wakes with the dawn, the sky a delicate wash of pink and gold, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. He walks the jungle, its paths familiar now, the vines soft beneath his boots, the air fragrant with the scent of moss and earth. The palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of light and shadow, and the island feels alive, its pulse in harmony with his own. He finds a new grove, its trees heavy with fruit, their leaves bright with dew. The air is sweet here, the scent of guava and wild mint mingling with the tang of salt, and the birds sing brightly. They call it a celebration of life. He kneels, his hands brushing the earth, and feels a warmth that radiates from the soil, a sign of the island's renewal. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the crew, and knows they are part of this place, their lives woven into its sand and stone. He carves a new marker, not for the sailor or the crew, but for the island itself, a tribute to its stories, its peace. The wood is smooth, its surface warm from the sun, and he etches a simple line. A wave, a palm, a star. For you, he says softly, his voice steady, who held the past, who sang the future. The air shifts, a breeze stirring the grove, carrying the scent of rain and salt, and the palms nod, their fronds whispering approval. He walks the shore again, the sand cool beneath his feet, the waves a steady hymn. The air tastes of salt and promise, and the island feels whole, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the stone in the cove, the compass in the pool, the figurehead in the rock pool, and knows the island has accepted his offerings, its stories told, its ghosts at rest. The palms whisper, their secrets gentle now, and he smiles, his heart full. Can you imagine such a morning, where the world feels new, where the past and present weave together like the waves? What would you do, walking a shore that knows your name? The dawn spills across the island like a tide of light, its golden rays weaving through the palms, casting delicate shadows on the sand. Crusoe stands on the shore, the waves lapping gently at his boots, their foam a soft whisper against the earth. The air is cool, fragrant with the scent of salt and wild mint, the breeze carrying the faint sweetness of guava from the groves beyond. The sea stretches before him, its surface a mirror of the sky's rose and amber hues, and the palms sway gently, their fronds humming a melody that feels like home. The island is alive, its pulse a steady rhythm that echoes its own, a harmony forged through rituals and offerings, through stories told and ghosts set free. Can you feel the morning's gentle touch, its breath cool and fragrant, wrapping you in its quiet? Can you hear the waves' song, their notes soft and endless, like a lullaby woven from the sea? He walks the shore, his steps slow and deliberate, the sand yielding beneath his boots, each grain a memory, each wave a story. The air is alive with the scent of seaweed and wildflowers, their petals scattered by the breeze, and the sun climbs higher, its light a golden thread stitching sky to sea. He thinks of the markers he carved, waves, palms, stars, etched in wood and stone, tributes to William, to the sailor, to the crew whose dreams once sailed these waters. The island has accepted his offerings, its heart unburdened, its stories woven into a tapestry of peace. He wonders about the lives that touch this shore, their hopes and fears, their voices now part of the wind's gentle hum. He pauses, his gaze drawn to a small shell, half buried in the sand, its surface pearled with hues of pink and ivory. Can you smell the jungle's breath, thick with life, its secrets soft and welcoming? Can you feel the earth beneath you, alive with stories told and dreams renewed? He kneels by the spring, his fingers brushing the water, its surface cool against his skin. The shell in his pocket feels warm, a quiet reminder of the island's gift, and he takes it out, holding it in the light. Its pearled surface catches the sun, glinting with hues of pink and ivory, and he smiles, his heart full. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the boy, and knows they are part of this place, their lives woven into its sand and stone. The air hums softly, the palms whispering, and a final vision grips him, gentle and fleeting. He sees the island, its shores alive with the crew's laughter, their faces clear and bright. The sailor stands among them, his eyes turned to the sea, his heart unburdened. The boy runs along the sand, his smile a beacon in the light. William watches, his laughter a melody that carries through the vision, and Crusoe knows the island is whole, its stories told, its ghosts at rest. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back by the spring, the shell warm in his hand, the water rippling softly. He places the shell on a flat stone by the spring, its surface gleaming in the light. "For you," he says softly, his voice steady, "who sang to me, who guided me home." The words are for William, for the island, for the stories that have shaped him. The air shifts, a breeze stirring the clearing, carrying the scent of rain and salt, and the palms nod, their fronds whispering approval. The spring seems to glow, its light a reflection of the island's peace, and Crusoe feels a lightness, as if the island has exhaled its final breath of sorrow. He rises, the sun warm on his face, and walks the jungle, its paths a map of his heart. The air is fragrant with the scent of moss and earth, and the palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of green and gold. The island feels alive, its pulse in harmony with his own, and he knows he is not alone. William's presence is here, a warmth in the breeze, a laughter that dances with the waves. He thinks of the sailor, of the boy, of the crew, and knows their stories are complete, their souls woven into the island's song. Can you feel the clearing's peace, the way the world seems to breathe with you? What would you do, having honoured a dream, standing in a place that knows your heart? He builds a fire as the day fades, its crackle a song of closure, its light dancing across the clearing. The sky is a tapestry of crimson and violet, the stars beginning to pierce the twilight, and the air is cool, fragrant with the scent of night-blooming jasmine and salt. He sits, the earth a cradle beneath him, and watches the stars, their light a map of dreams. The waves sing in the distance, their lullaby endless and soothing, and he feels the island's pulse, steady and strong, a rhythm that carries him towards sleep. He dreams of William, of the sailor, of the boy. Their faces clear now, their voices a chorus of thanks. The island is his home, its rhythms his own, and tonight, as the fire burns low and the stars shine, he knows he has found peace. He wakes with the dawn, the sky a delicate wash of pink and gold, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. He walks the shore, the sand cool beneath his feet, the waves a steady hymn. The air tastes of salt and promise, and the island feels whole, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the markers he carved, the offerings he made, and knows the island has accepted them, its stories told, its ghosts at rest. The palms whisper, their secrets gentle now, and he smiles, his heart full. He wonders about the days ahead, about the life he will build here, and knows the island will sing to him, its song a guide through the light. He returns to the grove, its trees heavy with fruit, their leaves bright with dew. The air is sweet here, the scent of guava and wild mint mingling with the tang of salt, and the birds sing brightly. They call it a celebration of life. He kneels, his hands brushing the earth, and feels a warmth that radiates from the soil, a sign of the island's renewal. He thinks of William, of the laughter they shared, and knows his friend is here, woven into the island's heart. The palms sway gently, their fronds a canopy of light and shadow, and the island feels alive, its pulse a steady rhythm that carries him forward. He walks the shore one last time, the sand cool beneath his feet, the waves a steady hymn. The air tastes of salt and promise, and the island feels whole, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the future, of the days ahead, and knows the island will be his companion, its stories now his own. The palms whisper, their secrets gentle now, and he smiles, his heart full. Can you imagine such a morning where the world feels new, where the past and present weave together like the waves? What would you do, walking a shore that knows your name? As you lie there, wherever you are, let the sound of distant waves carry you. Let the sway of the palms lull you into dreams. This is What If Sleep Storian, where stories weave through the night, soft and unending, guiding you gently towards sleep. The morning breaks like a quiet breath, its light filtering through the jungle in soft beams of gold and coral, as if the island has stirred from a gentle dream. Crusoe stands by the spring in the clearing, the stone he placed there, etched with a wave, a palm, a star, catching the dawn's glow. The air is fresh, heavy with the scent of wet earth and blooming jasmine, the breeze carrying a faint whisper of the sea's salt. The palms arch overhead, their fronds swaying in a silent rhythm, singing a song of renewal that feels like home. The island is whole, its heartbeat steady, its shadows softened by the rituals completed, the stories told, the ghosts set free. Can you sense the morning's quiet pulse, its breath cool and fragrant, drawing you into its calm? Can you hear the island's melody, its notes weaving through the light, like a lullaby for the soul? He walks a winding path to the shore, his boots brushing against soft grass and fallen leaves, the earth warm beneath his steps. The waves hum softly, their edges kissing the sand with a delicate froth, and the air is alive with the scent of brine and wild herbs, their leaves scattered by the wind. The sun rises steadily, its light a silver thread tracing the sea's horizon, and Crusoe feels the island's warmth, its stories now his own. He thinks of the shell by the spring, its pearled surface a gift of renewal, and of the compass, the figurehead, the stone in the cove, offerings that tied the past to the present, freeing the sailor, the boy, and the crew. Their voices linger in the breeze, their dreams carried by the tide's endless song. He pauses, his eyes tracing the curve of the shore, where the sea meets the sand in a dance of light and shadow. The air is warm now, the scent of salt blending with the faint sweetness of overripe fruit, and he feels William's presence, a warmth in the wind, a laughter that ripples through the palms. He recalls their early days, when they carved a life from this wild place, their hands rough from labour, their hearts lifted by shared tales under starlit skies. William is gone, his body claimed by the sea, but his spirit is here, a light that guides Crusoe through the island's shadows, a melody that echoes in the waves. Can you picture such a shore, where memories linger like the tide's touch, their voices soft and clear? What would you do standing where the past and present meet, woven into the sea's embrace? He kneels by the water, his fingers sifting through the sand, and finds a small pebble, round and smooth, its surface warmed by the sun, etched with faint lines that echo the sea's ripples. It is no relic of a lost ship, no fragment of a forgotten past, but a token from the island, a quiet gift of its peace. He holds it, its weight light but steady, and feels a warmth that flows from the earth, as if the island whispers to him, its voice a gentle hum. He thinks of William, of the sailor, of the boy, and knows their stories are complete, their souls woven into the island's heart. The air grows still, the waves pausing as if to listen, and a final vision grips him, soft and radiant. He sees the island, its shores glowing with a gentle light, the crew standing together, their faces clear and bright. The sailor stands among them, his eyes turned to the horizon, his heart unburdened, a man at peace. The boy dances along the sand, his smile a spark in the dawn, his locket gone, his spirit free. The older man, weathered and strong, laughs, his voice a deep note in the chorus. William is there, his laughter a melody that weaves through the vision, his presence a warmth that fills the air. They are not ghosts, but memories, their stories etched into the island's song, their dreams carried by the waves. The vision fades, and Crusoe is back on the shore, the pebble warm in his hand, the waves singing softly. He rises, his heart steady, and walks the shore, the pebble a quiet anchor in his pocket. The air is fragrant with the scent of salt and promise, and the island feels whole, its pulse in harmony with his own. He thinks of the future, of the days he will live here, and knows the island will be his companion, its song a guide through the light. The palms sway gently, their fronds whispering approval, and the air hums with the pulse of the earth, a rhythm that carries him,